हेलो हेलो। पेट ढीला है। राम सूरत कटर देना। मिल गया मिल गया। हेलो हेलो।
Yes, Prashant sir.
हेलो।
Prashant sir, tell me.
नहीं नहीं सर, बस आई एम ऑल्सो टेस्टिंग माई स्पीकर।
Yeah, your speaker is working, sir.
ओके,
Properly.
थैंक यू
Video
सर,
also
थैंक
working.
यू।
Everything.
ओके, थैंक यू।
Okay.
Hello, Ganesh.
Yes, madam, you are working.
I have to start the session when principal sir is going to come, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hello. Good evening, Ashish sir. Welcome, sir.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening, sir. So we'll be starting the session shortly
Good
when
evening,
principal
sir.
sir is
Yeah,
going to
sure.
join. So we'll start. Sir.
Okay.
I request all the participants to please mute your mics.
Thank you. Yeah, unmuted. Monica madam, principal sir has
sir.
joined.
Yes, sir. Okay,
Start
sir,
the
I'm
session.
starting, sir.
Madam.
Fine, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Uh, Good evening, one and all, to the evening session for the pre-conference of Intelligent Control and Computation for Smart Energy and Mechatronics Systems, ICCSEMS 2020. I, Monica Malik, will be host for this evening session. It's my great privilege to welcome our principal, Dr. G.M. Patel, JSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida, Dr. Seema Shukla, Associate Professor, Department of IT and General Co-Chair of ICCSEMS 2020, Dr. Vikram Bali, Professor and Head CSC Department and Technical Chair, ICCSEMS 2020, and Dr. Arun Kumar G, HOD ECE and Technical Tutorial Chair, ICCSEMS 2020. Our expert, Dr. Ashish Seth, Professor, Department of IT, School of Global Convergence Studies, INHA University, Incheon, South Korea. I cordially invite our principal, Dr. G.M. Patil, to say a few words. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Yes, sir.
To the lotus feet of His Holiness Mahaswamiji, Jagat Guru Sri Sri Shivaratri Deshikendra Mahaswamiji, the Pontiff of JSS Mat Mysuru and President Jagat Guru Sri Shivaratri Shwara Mahavidyapitha Mysuru, and seek for his divine blessings for all of us present here for making this pre-conference tutorial session 2 a great success and memorable one. At the outset, it's my honor and privilege to extend a warm welcome on my own behalf, on behalf of the management, the faculty, staff, and students of JSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida. I welcome you, sir, Dr. Ashish Shetji. I welcome you, sir. Arun
Thank you
Kumar
very
ji.
much.
Yeah. Ashish Shetty is there.
Yeah, I'm here. I can
Yes,
hear
sir.
you.
Yes, sir. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sir, I welcome you, sir. On my own behalf, on behalf of
Thank
the
you, sir.
management, faculty, staff, and students of the JSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida, extend you hearty welcome, sir.
Hello, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hello, Dr. Ashish Shetty.
Yes, sir.
I'm able to
I can hear you.
I'm able to hear him. The coordinator of resource person of this today's session, Dr. Ashish Shetty, Dr. Arun Kumar ji, coordinator of the pre-conference tutorial, head of the EMC department, and my good friend in the JSS Noida campus, Monica Malik ji, Chaya Grover ji, Bajran Prasad Mishra ji, and distinguished faculty of the EC department who are there in the team of coordinating the pre-conference tutorial, Dean Academic Dr. Jagdish, Dean R&D Dr. Sujata KS, who is also the publication chair of the international conference that we are holding, Dean Student Welfare Dr. Prashant Chauhan ji, chair of the technical program committee Dr. Vikram Bali ji, head of the CSA department, registrars Dr. Shirur ji, CAO Commodore BK Gupta ji, accounts officer Manoj Kumar ji, training and placement officer Yogendra Singh ji, all the heads of the departments, distinguished faculty, staff, and my dear students. Good evening to all of you. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ji. It is my honor and privilege to present myself scientific community, to present in brief as to what it took for us to come to this event, what we are presenting today to the international academic, research and industry, the personnel and the researchers all across the globe. We started the preparation for the program on this most challenging topic, intelligent control and computation for smart energy and mechatronic systems. It has the intelligence, it has the AI, it has the control, it has the information and communication technology, computation, and the energy made smart and mechatronic, the combination of the electronics and mechanical. Having this topic in front of us, garnering the response from the international scientific and the research team was a big challenge in itself. As we all know, education has, there has been a paradigm shift in the pedagogy of the education from the blackboard to online only instruction, in person on campus to online only. We are able to conduct the lab through the virtual platform, virtual lab, but sharing of the research findings of the scientists, researchers, academicians, and industry experts was itself a challenge. And this challenge was answered by the team at JCCT Noida. We took up this challenge by floating this topic to hold the international conference, and with the efforts of the chairs of the various committees, the pre-conference tutorial committee chair, Dr. Arun Kumar, head of Fishery Department, and technical program committee chair, Dr. Bikram Baliji, head of CSE Department, publication chair, Dr. Suyata KS, Dean R&D, and head of IEEE department in my college, and many others. All the chairs, publication and other taking care of the online platform, they work day and night. And the topic was shared in the researchers and scientists, academicians and industry personnel in India and abroad. We succeeded in getting the response from all over the world. As many as 208 papers under the different tracks, the 4 tracks we have at the international conference: smart energy systems, second one, smart homes, buildings and cities. Next track, control, mechatronics, robotics, advanced materials and manufacturing, and track 4, information and communication technologies. Under these 4 tracks, we issued 208 papers. After double-blind review process, we were in a position to select 115 papers with the hard work of the technical program committee head, chair, and head of the computer science department, Dr. Bikram Baliji, and the chair of the publication committee, Dr. Sujata KS, Dean R&D and head of the IEEE department. They work day and night in successfully identifying the reviewers of the highest standards, maintaining the benchmarks of very high standards in processing the papers, review and scrutiny of the papers. After following all the necessary procedure in place, 115 papers were selected. That made the acceptance to go up to 62.9%. An excellent quality of papers selected by us. It also gave us the highest percentage that is possible in any international conference, 62.9%. And these 115 papers, authors were sent the communication to register for the conference, and as many as 108 authors are registered, giving us an international acceptance for this conference to the extent of 93.99%, probably the highest possible, 90% and above, is what any international conference can achieve in terms of the acceptance and endorsement by the international scientific community. We achieved the target of 93.9%. We could invite with our own contacts. When I visited London for the international conference in August 2019, I met the scientists and professors there. Dr. Dekiana Iliescu, University of Warwick, Coventry, UK. Dr. Saeed Sharif, University of East London, UK. Sundarshan Perumal, University Sains, University of Malaysia, and Dr. Michael Carl from Kent University, USA. Out of the 6 keynote speakers, 4 are from outside the country. And 2, Mr. Krishnamurthy Raman, CEO and founder of the Navtat Solutions, Bengaluru, and Dr. Amar Patnaik ji, Motilal Nehru Institute of Technology, MNIT, Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, Jaipur. 2 from within India. It has been overwhelming that we approach the great personalities in these areas. They were very kind to give the acceptance as keynote speakers. And with the support and cooperation of my friend and head of the ICCSEMS department and chair of the pre-conference tutorial, Dr. Arun Kumar ji, we could have the keynote pre-conference tutorial delivered by Dr. Girish Revdigar, a senior scientific researcher at Hawaii International Private Limited, Singapore, who has done his BTech MTech from Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belagavi, and his PhD from University of New South Wales, Sydney. That is the third best in the top 3 universities in Australia, and among the top 50 universities in the globe. So now for the evening pre-conference tutorial, it is our honor to have Dr. Ashish Shetji, Professor, Department of IT, School of Global Convergence Studies, INHA University, Inha, South Korea. Dr. Ashish Shetji is an author, researcher, teacher, and a consultant. He has been into the academics for more than 17 years and has an exposure of working at various roles and responsibilities. His interest includes information systems, data science, soft computing, and blockchain technologies. We are honored by the efforts of our pre-conference tutorial chair, Dr. Arun Kumar ji, the towering personality in the area of the information systems, data science, and soft computing. None less than Dr. Ashish Shetji has given the consent. Sir, I am very proud. In spite of your busy schedule, you are very kind to give the acceptance for our program, and you have joined us despite your busy schedule in your, the day-to-day activities. We are very much thankful to you for your valuable time given to us and for giving the acceptance to our invitation and joining us today at this time for delivering the pre-conference tutorial. I would like to place on record my sincere thanks and congratulations to Dr. Arun Kumar ji, head of the EC department and chair of the pre-conference tutorial, and his team of faculty members for this wonderful task. They have worked very hard, identify the great personalities in the area on which the international conference is being planned. Dr. Girish Revadigar in the morning session and Dr. Ashish Shetji for the evening session now. I am very proud that the contribution of Dr. Arun Kumar ji, head of the EC department and coordinator, the chair of the pre-conference tutorial, has taken pains to reach out to the great personalities in the globe. And we are very fortunate that Dr. Ashish Shetji has given the consent and has accepted our invitation to be with us for delivering the pre-conference tutorial. I, on my own behalf, on behalf of the management, faculty, staff, and students of the JSS Academy of Technical Education, Noida, extend you hearty welcome, sir. Without taking much of your time, I request the program coordinator to please proceed ahead. I once again extend hearty welcome to Ashish Shetji. I welcome you to our campus, sir. Thank you very much. Namaskar ji.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your motivational talk before the start of this big event. With immense pleasure, I would like to introduce our expert, Ashish Seth, for this session. Dr. Ashish Seth, Professor, Department of IT, School of Global Convergence Studies, INHA University, Incheon, South Korea. Dr. Ashish Seth is an author, researcher, teacher, and a consultant. He has been into academics for more than 17 years, Patiala. His interest includes information systems, data science, soft computing, blockchain technologies. He was awarded with Honors Award for the Best Faculty at CSI TechNext India 2018 and Young Researchers awarded Republic Day Achievers Award Integrated Intelligence Research. Beside this, he had taken up with many consultancy projects, to name a few. Consultant cum subject expert with TSI Riga, Lavia under the European Union project, strengthening the academic staff of the Transport and Telecommunication Institute in the areas of strategic specialization. Consultant for UNDP, Uzbekistan, in a project to find out the need and subsequent steps needed in reforming the IT education in schools, colleges, and universities in Uzbekistan. Now, not taking much of time, I hand over the floor to Dr. Ashish Seth. So, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So let me share the screen first. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir. Visible. Visible, sir. Yes.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me in this session. I thank the Dr. G.M. Patil sir, Dr. Arun Kumar Godru, and the entire team for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this conference. So I welcome you all in this tutorial session on cloud computing. Basically, in this session, I am going to talk about the fundamentals of cloud computing, the benefits of moving to the clouds, and also I am talking the cloud computing in context of the AWS, that is Amazon Web Services. And if we have a time, I will just show you the environment of AWS, walk through by deploying some application to have a feel that how we work on clouds. So cloud computing, this term is not new nowadays. It is, but it is very, very popular. We have been hearing this term for last 2 decades, you can say, but still it has it has so much potential. It's been using. So cloud computing has evolved from various concepts and that we have around us for a very long time. We talk about utility computing, we talk about grid computing, virtualization, real-time infrastructures, web platforms, service-oriented architectures, and many more such terms. So cloud computing is basically the integration of all these terms and then provide very advanced services to make our business successful. So before we understand what actually the cloud computing is, first we will understand what not the cloud computing. We have certain myths about the cloud computing. There is one single cloud. So I have just pointed out some sentences, some myths that you hear about the cloud computing, that there is only one single cloud, and if you want to be a part of that cloud, you have to be, deploy your application on that cloud. So cloud itself, actually sometimes it's not very clear what does this cloud mean. So later we'll see that what actually the cloud refers here in this cloud computing. The second myth is, if you want to a part of cloud computing, if you want to deploy your business into the clouds, the only thing you need is the credit card. This is actually not true. It's not only required that you must have a money and that you can just go for the clouds. It is required, but it is not the only thing that is required to move to the clouds. The cloud will always save you money. This is again not fully correct. It's partially correct. The cloud always reduce your workload. Again, it's not like that. If you are a business organization and if you are moving to cloud, then the cloud has a responsibility to take care of all the things. So when we talk about the cloud, we have to talk about the shared responsibility model. We'll see that how this model works. Then we have about the integration. We have different versions you may come across, like some say that you can easily deploy the data centers and the private cloud onto the public cloud, or sometimes you may see that no, you cannot be allowed to deploy whatever you have to start from the beginning. The other myth that you can come across is a cloud provider can guarantee security. Again, with the cloud environment, we have a guarantee of security, but again, there is a kind of done in the shared model. Some security you have to be, take a responsibility. Some parts to be by the cloud providers. The next myth is if you are using virtualization, then you are doing cloud computing. So virtualization is not the cloud computing. Yeah, it is a part of that. That is actually the some foundation technology that may be helping for this cloud computing, but it doesn't mean that if the virtualization is there, you are into clouds. Cloud computing is only about technology. It's again partially correct. It's about technology, but cloud computing is more about that. You need to be. It's about managing. It's about analyzing the business. So these are some myths that we come across. Let us understand what actually the cloud computing, and then we will move to the definition of the cloud computing. So let us understand these scenarios that we see in our day-to-day life. The first thing is we pay the local electricity provider at the end of the month. So you are consuming electricity, and after the month you are getting a bill for that usage. Normally when you go to the mall or a grocery store, you did all your purchasing, and then only you have to pay for that particular item that you have purchased. You are using the phones, you are making calls throughout the month, and at the last you have to pay the bill for it. If you want to go somewhere by using your vehicle, you will be filling the fuel depending on your kind of requirement, how far you want to travel. So this all scenario is actually based on a subscription model. So subscription model means if you want to use any electricity, it does not mean that you have to install a plant at your own home. If you want to consume anything, it does not mean that you have to start doing production of it. Subscription model means you can use and you can pay for that only. So this is something that we will see in the cloud model. It is supporting pay as ongoing operational expenses. In the subscription model, you will see that you can easily scale up or scale down your requirement. Sometimes you need more electricity. For example, if there are customers, if you are at home and if the guests are in your home or some function is going at your home, in that month you may see that there is a electricity bill is more. Sometimes if you're out of your city, then there is a less electricity bill. Means the mean to say is whatever you are using, you are paying for that. So there is no buying, we are only renting. This kind of model we will see in the cloud computing. So what is actually the cloud computing? We can see the definition here. So the cloud term basically refers to internet, and this is the technology that basically keeps the application on the internet and which we are accessing by using the browser. So if you look to the definition, you will look some key terms like convenient, on demand, resource sharing. So cloud computing, it's basically a framework that is given to us so that any application can be rapidly provisioned and can be revealed and can also be released with a minimal effort. It provides us the high level of abstraction. Now, when we talk about any business, implementation, there are certain issues that we have to care for, we need to worry about. What are these issues? We need to think about. For if you are a businessman, if you want to start up a new business and you have to make an infrastructure for that business, then you have to think about the redundancy issues. You need to think about the confidentiality of issues. You need to think about the compliances, audit trials. You need to identify what is the user growth, means user growth is unpredictable. You need to think about the data center management, the elasticities, the licensing fees, the latencies issues. So there are many issues that actually occurs when you want to make an infrastructure for your business. Now, how can you come up or find a solution for all these issues? Then cloud can be a solution for all these issues. So whatever the point I have just mentioned here, like licensing fee, compliances, confidentiality, elasticity, latencies, all will be taken care by the clouds. But it doesn't mean that if you are moving to the clouds, then the cloud providers will be wholesale responsible for your application. So here the things are working in the shared responsibility model. So as a customer, you have to take responsibility. Means customer means if you are a businessman and if you want to deploy your business on the cloud, so you have to be responsible for some factors. Similarly, the providers will be the responsible for some factors. So basically, the clouds model, when we talk about the cloud providers, they will take the security of the cloud, and the customer, the consumer of that cloud, will take the security of inside the cloud. So depending on the type of deployment, so we have different models of deployment. We have IaaS, we have PaaS, we have SaaS. So we have different responsibilities are defined. So the customer responsibilities are basically determined based on which kind of deployment model he is actually using. So this kind of model is basically ensuring the accountability for the customer and also for the cloud providers. If you look to the cloud computing trends, we need to understand that why it is important to talk about clouds. So if you look to this figure, the trends of the cloud computing has keep on increasing, and the cloud computing market is forecasted to go over by $650 by the year 2027. So it is actually increasing at a very high rate. Even if you look to the job market in the last 3-4 years, you will find that one of the most charming job is found in the field of clouds. In the recent surveys, it has been found that the cloud initiatives are expected to account for around 70% for all technological spending by the year 2025. And also it has been surveyed that up to 80% of the organizations have been predicted to migrate to the cloud by the year 2025. So there's a huge potential being identified by the companies. Companies are moving to the clouds. Because of the huge potentials, many big companies have already into the clouds, and they are serving as a cloud service providers. So you can already aware about these names like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, IBM. These are big kind of name in the market of clouds. But if you look to this graph, this is one statistics done. Here you can see that there are a lot of clouds already there in the market, but Amazon Web Services is a far away from these. There is actually not much competition. The competing agencies will be the Microsoft and Google, but others, they are just competing within themselves. But Amazon Web Services is very, very far. It's reached far beyond in the competition. So let us see some characteristics. What are the characteristics of cloud computing? So the very first characteristics is on-demand self-service. So what does this mean? It basically refers to the computing capabilities that can be provisioned automatically without needing the human interaction. Then we have heterogeneous access. This provides us the capabilities which are available to the over the network and can promote use of heterogeneous access to the customers. Then the other most important characteristic is the resource pooling. So here most of the computing resources are pooled using multi-tenant model. Resources are dynamically assigned and can reassign according to the customer demand. Then the other feature is a measured service. This basically refers that a cloud system can automatically control and can optimize the resources. So these are the fundamental characteristics of any cloud computing model. So the entire model is divided into three service, kind of, structure. Now you can see that this structure has been, restructured, and it has now provided in various forms. But at the root, at the foundation, we have the three core models which actually provides the entire cloud computing environment. We call it IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So IaaS as an infrastructure as a service, PaaS stands for platform as a service, and SaaS stands for software as a service. So what these models are? So if you look to the SaaS is occurring at the top level. So at the base level, we have a IaaS, then we have a PaaS, and then we have a SaaS. When I say if you are using a SaaS, that means implicitly you are also using the PaaS and IaaS. If you are using a PaaS service, that means also you are availing the IaaS service. So at the base, we have a IaaS, and then at the top, we have a SaaS. So what does it mean? So software as a service, basically, it allows the provider applications running on the cloud infrastructure. In this, the applications can be accessible from various client devices, such as web browsers. So if you are using simply any application based on a web browser, that means you are using SaaS. Like even when you are using your Gmail account, when you are using a Dropbox, when you are using any of the facilities which are available nowadays on an internet, where you are simply logging in and using that particular service, that's actually a SaaS service by the cloud. Then we have a PaaS, that is a platform as a service. So in the platform as a service, it refers basically, it provides you the capability to deploy onto the cloud infrastructures where the consumers can create their own applications. So it will provide you the kind of hardware, storage, and also the development infrastructure, so that any company can build their application there itself. In this model, the consumers actually do not manage the cloud infrastructure, but it has a control over the deployed applications. When we talk about the IaaS has at the founding level, this is one of the very primary services which is offered by the clouds. It is feasible when you have the software and platform ready with you, and you are looking that what hardware to run with your application. So you are looking for the hardware support. So hardware support will be provided to you. Means, let's say you want to deploy an application, you are looking for any server. So server will be provided to you, and so this is a IaaS, and on that server you can just install whatever you want to, what kind of application you want to use, and then you can develop your application, deploy your application, and then allow the customers to use your application. So these are the fundamental models that has been there in the cloud model. Now let us understand that how these three models can be distinguished and can be understood in a better way. So to make any application used by the customer, so the entire application can be composed of many different parts, or you can say many different layers are working on it. So if any application is running on the on-premise, so the application must be using networking. You need to provide the storage, you need to provide the servers, you need to take care of virtualization, a middleware, runtime, data application. So all these are the components of any application which is actually running. Now, if all these components we can segregate into parts. So if you see on the screen, if you see at the down, the white colored components, networking, storage, server, and virtualization. Now, if these components are to be taken by the third party, if the third party is taking the responsibility of these, and you are simply using these component and just installing your operating system, deploying your application, taking care of your application and the data, then this is an example of the infrastructure as a service. You are provided with the hardware, you are provided with the storage kind of support, and the rest you are only responsible for. When we talk about the platform as a service, here you are taking more services from the third party. So here the third party is basically providing you more components. So if you compare the two figures, you have now taken middleware and runtime, and as a customer, you are only responsible to deploy your application and you have to take care of your data. This is known as platform as a service. Software as a service is you have given the responsibility for the application. All the components will be taken care by the third party, and you are simply the user of that application. Then this is a software as a service. So here you can see that software as a service means you are actually implicitly using platform as a service and the infrastructure as a service. Now let us understand the scenario. This is a very common example. You may have gone through this to understand the entire scenario. So let's say we are interested to have a pizza, and if you want to prepare a pizza, then these are the different components. You need to have a cheese, you need to have a topping, you need to have a raw dough for preparing a pizza, you need to have a fire and oven to cook and to prepare, you need to have soda, and you need to have some dining table utensils with you. Now these are the different things will be required if you want to eat pizza. Now, if we divide all these, kind of stages or the component that makes the complete pizza to be consumed. So at the first stage, we have just bring the raw from the market. We have purchased the cheese. We have purchased the dough to prepare the pizza. We have bring it from the market, from the shop. And at home, we are just preparing ourselves, our own pizza. We are using our gas, soda, dining table to consume it. This is just very much equivalent to the infrastructure as a service. We have taken the raw from the third party and then we are preparing it ourselves. In the second case, you can see we have taken more item, we have taken more component, we have taken more raw things from the third party. We have even, so, or you can say we have ordered to some shop. I want to eat the pizza. Instead of preparing myself at my home, I just make a call and I just make a call to Domino or a Pizza Hut and I say, please deliver the pizza to me. And that pizza will be delivered to me. Now what is required? I need to only use my utensils. I need to use only my dining table to consume that pizza. This is another scenario, which is a kind of pass here. I am only using my utensils to consume that pizza. The third scenario is I don't want to use any of my resources. I just go to any restaurant. I just go to the pizza shop and I just order the pizza. I'm not preparing it. I'm not using my dining table. I don't care for cleaning that table. I don't care for cleaning the utensils. That everything is to be taken care by that particular restaurant or a shop. So these are the different kind of, you just try to make a kind of comparison that how these two things may be comparable, the IaaS, PaaS, and the SaaS. So we have three deployment models are there. We have a public cloud, private cloud, and then we have a hybrid cloud. Public cloud is basically a cloud infrastructure which is available to the general public. Private cloud is again a kind of services provided by a cloud provider, but it is very specific to any company. Here it is a single tenancy is used. Here we are not using multi-tenancy. Whatever the services are used, it is only used by only one consumer. Hybrid cloud is a kind of combination between the two to make a combination public and private to come up with a new deployment model. We call it hybrid cloud. So if you look to this figure, you can find here different kind of models are being used in the company. So public model is a model where service providers provide the resources such as applications, storage, which is available to the general public over the internet. In the private deployment, the cloud computing properties are enabled in the company internal data centers. In the community is also one kind of model where a consortium or a group of companies are actually working on a similar interest, working on reliably with each other, so they can also go for a kind of community model. So here in this, the IT resources are basically offered in the controlled environment, which can be accessible to one communities, which can basically trust each other. or you can go for the hybrid model, where you can go with any combination of the public, private, or communities. So in this, the application can choose the right environment, which is basically best fit uh, to their business. So these are the different models which are actually available with the clouds. Then if you, now this is all we have talked about, the kind of cloud definition, what the cloud is, what are the different models, how they can be deployed. Now we'll try to understand that how we can visualize the cloud. So we have many different vendors, like we have discussed, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. So we will try to understand in context of AWS, Amazon Web Services. So Amazon Web Services is a leading cloud provider in the present context, and it is spread over around the globe, and it is spread over the geographical regions. And each region is basically contained in a single country, and all of its data and service stays within that particular region. Then it has a further segregation is there. Each region has a multiple availability zone, which are basically a data centers who provide the AWS services. And these availability zones are actually isolated from each other. So presently there are around 11 regions are there, which the AWS is actually kind of saying. We have 28 availability regions are there, and presently approximately, if you look to the statistics, it says that it claims basically there are 1.5 million servers are running worldwide by this AWS. So it's a huge structure. That's why they are actually leading today. AWS is actually offer the free tier to the customers. So free tier service means you can be a part of, you can make your account, you can have an experience that how the cloud computing can be utilized. You can go through all the services. So you can see here, here it provides a lot of services, and they have categorized into different domains. So in the compute, you can find EC2, Lambda. EC2 is basically a kind of virtual server deployment. If you want to deploy a virtual server on the clouds, then you go to a EC2. Similarly, we have S3 storage gateway, Glacier. These are for the storage. You can also create your own network. You can create your network. You can and then design your sub network. You can assign the roles and authorization rules, whatever you want for your organization. That you can do with the VPC. So there are a lot of services are provided by the AWS, and most of them are free. So you can experience. You can just log in. You can create an account, have a feel that how the services are work. So this is basically to promote the students, the newcomers, to experience that how the AWS is actually providing the services on the cloud. It also promotes the companies, the business persons to have a feel that what is AWS and how they can make their business, means more even more benefits. How can we easily manage the business if they move to the clouds? So what the AWS is offering. So we'll understand what actually the AWS is offering to the customers. So AWS, the very first thing is low cost. It actually offers the pay-as-you-go pricing, where no upfront expenses actually required. There is no long-term commitment required. Then the next is it provides the instant elasticity, and that is actually providing you the flexibility provision, where you can scale down, you can scale up your kind of resources. It actually eliminates to guess your infrastructures that is required for your business. So normally when you are going to start your business, you need to do a study that what is the requirement for your infrastructures. If you are going to deploy any server, then you need to identify what should be the capacity of server. For that, you need to identify what is your customer base, what is your size of the customer, what is the traffic will be there. Based on that, you have to design your infrastructure. But with the clouds, there is no need. There is a elasticity is provided. as per your business go, your resources will be increased automatically, it will be decreased automatically. So there is no headache for the business persons to think on all this. The third is the speed and agility. It basically allows to develop and deploy the applications faster. So instead of waiting the week or month for the hardware to arrive and get installed, you can start immediately your business. So if you are working with the clouds, there is no need to, first identify your requirement and then placing an order, and then you have to wait that all the resources will be, will be delivered to you. It will take a lot of time. But here with the clouds, you just plan and you just analyze what is the requirement and move to the cloud, and it will provide you the agility. Immediately you can start with your business. Then next feature is the apps not ops. So basically it means that you have it will allow you to focus on your projects. It will let you shift resources away from your data centers investment, and the operations can, or you can say it will allow you to focus on your new projects rather than uh, wasting your energy, wasting your your resources, means manpower resources, to analyze what will be your requirement in the future. It is not required. You simply go to the cloud, use the features of elasticity, use the auto scaling. uh, it will be taken care by. So there is no need to think about the resources which may be required. You have to simply focus on your business uh, projects, means how the business can be made innovative so that it can be increased in the coming years. Global reach is another benefit with the cloud. It will take your applications throughout the global, because AWS is actually spread around the globe. As we have seen, it has spread in the various regions, which is actually uh, covering the entire globe. Then it is open and flexible, which basically allow you to choose the development platform, or it will allow you to choose the programming model that makes the most sense for your business. It is secure. This is again one very important offering from the AWS. It will allow your application to take advantage of the multiple layers of the operational and physical security in the AWS data centers. So it also ensures that the integrity and the safety of your data will be kept there, will be maintained there. So there are a lot of offerings are there which the cloud provides us, and especially I'm talking about the AWS offering. So if you looked about the AWS universe, you will find that all the deployment models and all the services that we talk about, the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and SaaS, software as a service, everything will be visible here in this universe. And as a user, you will be providing one interface. So with that interface, you can just control all these kind of services. You have a full control. So if you are a kind of manager, if you are a administrator of these cloud environment, then you can administer, you can actually manage, you can administrator all these different services which is provided to the customer. So we have three options to control the entire structure. You can be provided a console, means you can get one graphical view. With that graphical view, you can control the entire business running on the cloud. Or if you are comfortable working on the command prompt, then you can also use the command line interface to control your entire business on the cloud. Even you can run your application, you can use the APIs that can allow you to manage the services which are running on the cloud. So we have basically three different interfaces provided by the AWS to manage your cloud. Then if we talk about the infrastructure services which is inside the AWS, so the very popular are the EC2, which is basically a kind of server which we are deploying on the clouds. VPC, it's a kind of networking that you can do on the clouds. We have S3, which is a storage provision, EVS. These are the some names which are providing the IS service to the customers. We talk about the platform as a service, then there is Elastic MapReduce is there, RDS is there, DynamoDB is there, Elastic Beanstalk is there. So these are the some services which are very popularly known as platform services in the AWS environment. Excuse me. Then we have SaaS, you can say, software services. We have SWF, CloudWatch is there. CloudWatch basically provides you to monitor the entire deployment that you use on the clouds to check your performance, that how the resources are working. It will provide you the log reports to analyze that how you can improve your model to make the benefit out of the cloud resources into your business. So let us understand what is the cloud economics, means how this entire things work when any business moves to the cloud. So here we talk about the pricing model and that how the AWS is actually charging for the services. And then another important concept is the total cost of ownership. So now let's see about talk about the pricing policy. So in this, we need to understand the fundamental pricing characteristics that is actually there when we talk about moving to the clouds. And we have to understand what are the elements of total cost of ownership. We call it TCO. So TCO is basically used to calculate the total cost of purchasing and the total cost of operating a technology. So this kind of tool, so TCO is a kind of tool or services which provided at the cloud. It gives a businessman a framework to evaluate the computing solutions to any problem. So let us see that how these TCO is actually helpful for any business organization to move to the clouds. So let us look at the pricing fundamentals, how the cloud providers are actually charging for the services or the resources if you are using these for your business. So there are three fundamental drivers of the cost, especially with the AWS, and these are compute, storage, and outbound transfer. So these are the three key components on which you are charged. If you are using these services, then you have to pay for these services. Now, in most cases, there is no charge for inbound data transfer. Means if you are going to store something on the clouds, then there is actually no charge they are charging. But if the customer or the consumer of these clouds, when they retrieve the data from the cloud, then you have to pay for that. So most of the time, inbound data is almost free, but there are certain exceptions are there. So you have to be verify that on which scenarios the inbound data will be charged. So charges are aggregated bound data transfer. So what does it mean? It means whatever the outbound kind of transaction is happening, you will get in your monthly bill one field titled as the outbound, and in that outbound it will tell you that how much data will be transferred out from the clouds, and for that you have to be paid to the cloud providers. Then we look at the pricing model. This is actually explain the pricing philosophy of the AWS. It will basically depends on pay for what actually you are using, pay for what you are consuming. So you can start or stop any of the services at any time. There is no long-term contract is actually required with the AWS. But in some case, if you go for the long-term contract with them, you can get more kind of discounts for using the services. So when you look to this model, it basically includes pay for what you use, whatever you are using, you have to pay only for that. Pay less when you reserve. So they actually motivate you that you have to show your kind of commitment that you will be using for a longer time, and you will be getting more discounts. Pay less when you use more. So if you are using more of their resources, again, you will be getting larger discounts. So it's a kind of promotion or kind of, uh, they want you to give more benefits. They want you to use their more services. So they are make this kind of philosophy. Pay even less as AWS grow. And also they are claiming if their own business, if AWS is actually more spreading in the coming years, they are going to lessen their fees. So in the pay for what you use, what does it mean? It means if you plan to build your own data centers, you would be likely to spend too much time for money and too much time for uh, for identifying your requirements. But with the AWS, you can only pay for the services which you are consuming, and there is no large upfront expenses will be required. So with this kind of philosophy, with this kind of options, it will allow us to quickly adapt to change the business need, and also we can redirect our focus on innovation and invention by paying for only what we are using. And also it will allow us to pay up to what time you want to need that resource. So all AWS services are basically working or available on demand basis. There is no long-term contract is required, and also they will take care of the licensing requirement. The next is pay less when you reserve. So we have different kind of options are there. If you are making a commitment of using their services for the longer time, they are claiming that you can save up to 75%. So they have three different models they are proposing. One is called AURI, all upfront reserved instances. You can reserve the instances and you can pay all the cost initially, then you will get the maximum kind of discount. But there is no commitment, means there is no kind of compulsion for you that you have to pay initially. If you don't have that budget, if you don't want to pay initially all the amount, you can pay partial amount, reserve the instance, and then also you can get some discounts. Even if you don't have initial budget, if you don't have upfront payment amount to use the instances, they are allowing you to use the instances for a full period, and then later you can also pay them. But depending on which model you are going to use, you will be provided the discounts. And they are claiming if you go with the ORI, means if you pay with the total upfront cost, it will save you 75% discount, which is actually a huge, it's a huge discount. You can save a lot of money with that. So if you look to the benefit of using this kind of reserving the capacity, your organization can minimize the risk. You can more better way you can manage your budgets, and you can also comply with the policies which actually required for the long-term commitments. Then the next feature is a pay less by using more. What does that mean? It means if you are using more resources, if you are going for reserving the higher volume, then you will be getting more benefit. For example, you can go for the Amazon RDS, EC2, you can EBS, EFS. These are the certain resources and services which is definitely required. If you want to use the clouds, you can reserve it for a longer period. Depending on the business, you will get larger discounts. Transfer in is always the free, as we have already talked. That is, inbound is actually free. Outbound, you have to pay. Then pay even less as the AWS grows. It means that they are claiming that if the AWS is actually grows, when the AWS business grows, their services will be keep on decreasing. So it's a good benefit, huge benefit for the customers. So since 2016, if you compare the prices has been lowered 61 times. So this is actually a big advantage if you stick with the AWS. And also the other benefit, which is very clear, is you can get an absolute benefit as you always use the updated resources with the improved performance. So they keep on providing you the latest technology, the latest resources. So you are not worrying about. So if you are going on with the on-premises infrastructure, you have to take care. Whatever the resources you are using, with the time passes, the resources are become outdated. So you have to again take a responsibility of replacing them. But with AWS, they will always provide you the updated technology resources that can make your business doing better always in the coming time. So custom pricing is always there, means it will allow you can just analyze your business requirements, and accordingly you can make the structure, what kind of model you want, what kind of resources you want, how you want to pay. That is also possible with the AWS. Now AWS free tier, it will support the customers, the new customers, to get familiarity with this environment. So they will provide the free services for 1 year. You can make an account with this AWS. You can use the services for 12 months, and many of the services are actually free. So you can have a feel that how the things are working, and how you can make an application, you can run the application, you can provide this to the customer, take the feedback, analyze that feedback, and then you can just estimate that what will be good for you. It is good to move to the cloud or not. So the other thing you can see is there is no charge for maximum services. You can use BPC, you can use IAM, you can use consolidated billing. So if when I say IAM is one of the services which actually allows to control all the user access to the AWS services and the resources which are there on the cloud. VPC is a kind of service which allows you to make your own network on the cloud. You can manage your own rules and regulation which you want, that who can access, what kind of data can come in, come out, what kind of IPs can be allowed to access which port. Everything you can do. You can configure your own network. Then we have Elastic Beanstalk is there. It is actually allow you to quickly deploy and manage the applications on the AWS clouds. We have the Cloud Formation, which is a kind of content delivery services, which actually provides the very fast means data to the customers. There's a concept called the cloud front. With the cloud front, we have an edge location, and edge location we have the AWS provides your data to the sites very near to the customer, so it will reduce the latency. Whenever the customer needs the data, it will be immediately provided to the customer. So latency will be taken care by the cloud providers. So in summary, we can say that you can use this account, and there is no charge for using these services for 1 year, and there is no charge for inbound data transfers, but you have to pay charges for the outbound transfers. Even you can do the transfer of the data within the region. So maybe you are having a different accounts, or you have an account and you have deployed different applications which are running on different regions. So if you transfer the data within the same account with different regions, or in the same regions, you are not be charged by the AWS. It supports pay for what you use. So you are not actually buying the things, you are renting the things, and whatever you use, you have to pay only for that. You can start any resource which you are using, you can stop anytime. There is no commitment required. Then we have something called total cost of ownership. We'll see what is this and how it is going to help if you are planning to move to the cloud. So when we talk about the total cost of ownership, basically it helps any customer or any business person to analyze that is it good to move to the clouds or not. Because if you are an organization, if you are a business person, and you have read so many advantage of the clouds, but still you have no idea what to do, it will be good for me to move to the cloud. Because as I said, moving to the cloud is not always benefit. You have to analyze your business requirement. You have to analyze your business. You have to understand the nature of the business. So the TCO is something which is a service provided by the AWS, which will help you, which will support you to identify that do you have a real benefit of moving to the cloud. If you move to the cloud, then how much benefit you will get. So this is all the TCO is actually offering to the customer. So here there's a one big question, as I said, what to acquire. As a business person, you prefer to run your infrastructure on the on-premises, or you want to make your infrastructure on the cloud. So when you want to find out the kind of answer for such kind of situation where you are not very sure what to do, then the TCO is going to help you. Now, in the traditional infrastructure, you have to think about the equipment that will be required, the resources that will be there, the cost of the purchasing the equipment, the deploying the equipment, the managing the equipment. All this cost will be taken care to make your budget. Similarly, if you tell your requirement, and then what will be your liabilities, what will be your financial liabilities, what will be required to move to the cloud, that can be done with the help of this TCO. So TCO is basically a service from the AWS, which will be providing you the financial estimate that can help to evaluate that it is good for you to move to the clouds or not. So when we talk about how to analyze this, so here we will take into consideration many factors, and these factors are actually categorized into 4 basic components. One is the server cost. So what is the server cost? It will take care about all the consideration about the hardware servers, switches which will be required. What are the facilities cost in terms of the space, power, and the cooling efficiency will be required to make the server running and the on-premises. Then storage cost, network cost. These are the different components which is taken into consideration when you compare the budget for the on-premises and the cloud. So here is one example. This is one case scenario. There is a one case study or one scenario with the company, and they have just used the on-premises kind of resources, and the same when they move to the cloud, and it has been estimated, then in the 3 years the company is able to save 90% of the amount. So the 3-year total saving would be this much. So in percentage it is said to be 96%, but again, this is something you are taking in consideration with the 3 years kind of your duration is 3 years. But again, this is not very actual, because if you purchase any equipment, you are not going to make it garbage after 3 years. You are going to use it for another years also. So you cannot compare in this way, because but another thing you have to keep in mind, when you are using any resources, as the technology is advancing, resources are keep on updating, and with an advancing technology, the old resources are going of no use. So with the cloud, you will be always make guaranteed that the latest technology will be provided to you with the update configuration. So this makes sense, and it makes sense. That's why the company is actually opting this option, and they really feel that if we make a comparison with a similar kind of on-premises infrastructure with the cloud infrastructure, they can save up to 80 to 90%. Then we have something called monthly calculators there, which will help you to just analyze how you are using the resources on the cloud. It will also help you to identify how can you make the best of the resources. So these are just figures I have taken from the AWS to have a feel that how these reports look like. And this basically a detailed report will be given to you, and a person who is managing the entire infrastructure, your financial team, can have a look through it and can decide that how they can make the most use of the cloud computing services. So as a summary, to moving to the cloud, you can make use of the TCO, total cost of ownership. That is the kind of services that will help to the business persons to identify it is good or not to move to the cloud. It will estimate what is the benefit if they move, or it is actually how much initial cost will be required. Now, I would like to just demonstrate that how the AWS looks like. I just log into my account. I will show you that how these services can be utilized, and if the time permits, I can also deploy one virtual server there, and I will access that server from the remote machine. So let me check the time. Okay, let me show you that how we can deploy. Can you see the screen, this AWS Management Console? Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the AWS environment. If you want to use the AWS, you need to register with it. So I am using a free tier account, and here you can see that how you can use the services, deploy the services. Now, this is a region area, and here you can see that these are the different regions where you can deploy your services. North Virginia is the oldest region, and it provides support to all the services which are there in the AWS. If you go to services,
Sir, excuse me, sir. The
yes,
slide, sir, only slide is visible, sir. Your window is not visible.
this is not visible.
No, please share that window, sir.
Just a minute.
Yes, sir. All
Okay.
surveys.
Sir, now it is visible.
Now it is visible, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So this is the AWS environment. Means this is just to I just want to show you some basic things so you can have a feel that how the cloud services are provided to us. So here you can see this is region which is North Virginia, this Mumbai, CO, Singapore. So you can just choose where you want to deploy your service. So normally you have to select the region where is your customer base. If your customer base is in India, you can select the Mumbai region so that the latency will be reduced. So North Virginia is the oldest region, and it supports all kind of services which are there in the AWS. So when you go to services, here this is all services are there. You can see this is compute services. A lot of services are there. You can think of any service, and I think it will be available by the AWS. So storage, all kind of storage is there. S3, EFS. We have different storage requirements are there. So different services are there. You can use it, and accordingly you have to pay for that. This is EC2. This is basically Elastic Compute Cloud, which is basically a server. In their terminology, they are calling it EC2. In the other cloud services, they are calling it as a virtual machine. Then we have here you can see the networking and the VPC. This is virtual private cloud. It will allow us to deploy, means make your own network on the cloud. So it will give you all provision, and it will allow you to do whatever you like on the cloud, and with the minimum upfront cost. So I will just demonstrate a very simple quickly one deployment. I will make one server, and then we will also access it from remotely, or even you can access it from your machine, that server. I will provide you the link of that, and you can access that server. It's also possible. So if you want to make your server, you need to go to EC2. But again, I will just go to VPC. So I will go at the other label. I'll go to one more label. I will create my own network, and inside the network, we will deploy one server there. So you can see when you click on the VPC, you have moved to the VPC dashboard. It will provide you all the options to create your own server on the cloud. And when you start working on it, you can see here, this VPC is for the North Virginia. So when you deploy any services, when you deploy any instance, so by default, there is one VPC created. Let's say if I start deploying my server, then automatically there is one VPC is created there for me. But if I want to create my own network, then I have the option. So if I go to the VPC here, see in the North Virginia, this is the default VPC. If I am going to deploy any application without creating my own network, then it will be deployed in this VPC. This is a kind of virtual private cloud. And here you can see, just a minute. You can see this is 6 subnets are there, because in the North Virginia, we have 6 availability zone. So by default, there is one subnet is there. So what we are going to do is we are going to create one network. We are providing a range of IPs there. And then that range of IPs, we are dividing into some networks. We will divide these IPs into smaller networks based on our requirement. So we'll create our one own network. So I'll go to the launch VPC wizard. Here you can, what I'm going to do is, this is my virtual private cloud. Inside this virtual private cloud, I am going to deploy one subnet, and inside the subnet, I will make my one server. Okay, let us go back. I go to VPC. So here you can see this is a default VPC which is already there. With every region, you will find one default VPC. So you can just click on create VPC, and it will ask you to give the name to your network. Let's say I'll say VPC demo. Now you have to tell here what range of IPs you are going to use. So I am going to use this .0/16. That means I am going to provide 16 bits for the network and 16 bits for the host. It means actually in this network, I can create 2 power 16 machines will be there. But again, we have certain rules are there. Out of whatever the number of machines you can actually create, we have to reduce -5, because 5 addresses are reserved for some particular purpose. Now tenancy, what kind of tenancy you want to use? So tenancy default means you want to use a multi-tenancy. You want to share, you want to work on a shared model. You can also work in a dedicated model, but in that case, you have to incur charges. You have to pay some charges. And then you can go and create VPCs. So your network is actually ready for you. And now you need to do 4 basic steps. Whenever you want to create your network, you need to give your network identity that we have already given. We have to give the range of addresses we have already given. And then we need to go to set the subnet, routing tables, and internet gateway. So the next is a subnet, means in this network, I want to create a subnetwork. So here already the 6 subnets are already there, because in the Virginia region, we have 6 availability zones. I want to create my own subnetwork. So I will go here and I will say here, let's say VPC demo subnet. As I told you that every time whenever you want to create anything, it will be always within the virtual private cloud. Now that cloud may be a default cloud provided by the Amazon, or it must be created by you. So I want to create my subnet inside my virtual private cloud. So here I will suggest that I want to create in my VPC, not in the default VPC. This VPC is for the North Virginia region. This is for the VPC which I have created. Availability zone. In which availability zone? Availability zones mean these are the data centers which are available by the, which are provided by the Amazon. So we have 6 availability zones for North Indian region. This is 1 A, B, C, D. These are the code given for each availability zone. So either you can give your preference where you want to deploy your server, or you can make it no preference. Let's say I select 1A. And then you need to give the range for your subnet, that what range of addresses will be used by that subnet. So I am going to give, let's say 10.0.0/24. That means in this subnet I can have 2 power 8, that is 256 machines addresses will be provided to this. So my subnet has been created here. Then I need to create an internet gateway, and that means I want to allow that I want to make the communication possible with the outside world. So VPC is one kind of structure, but this structure is not visible to anyone. So I need to put one router on this structure. So that router will be the internet gateway, which will take all the messages from the subnet, from the VPC to the outside world, and also bring from the outside world to the inside. So I need to create one gateway, and we call it as an internet gateway. So here I'll create my internet gateway here. So I will say here that VPC demo. This is my internet gateway for VPC demo, and I will write as, this is just a name, and you can give any name, and then you can create your internet gateway. Now we have created an internet gateway, but now we have to associate that this internet gateway is for my VPC which I have created. Means I want to connect this entry point to my virtual network which we have just created. So in that case, you have to attach this VPC with your internet gateway. So here it is asking that the internet gateway which you have created want to be attached with which VPC. So this VPC, this virtual cloud which I have created, I have to connect with this. This is the demo you can see here. And then attach this gateway. Now we have created the VPC, we have done the subnets, we have done the internet gateway. Now the routing table. A routing table is a structure that contains some entry which is actually a guide to all the incoming message that where to forward. So we need to create the routing table for this subnet. Now routing table, every subnet must have a routing table which guide that how the packet can be forwarded. It's a kind of communication point for all the subnets. So we need to create one routing table. So create a routing table here. So we'll see here, we'll give a route table. For VPC demo. And then now this routing table we are creating where? So you are creating one routing table in the Amazon, and you have to specify that this routing table I am creating for my virtual private cloud. So I need to specify that this routing table will be for this, and create. And your routing table is actually ready. Now we have a subnet, we have a routing table, but now in the routing table, this is the routing table details. You can just click on it and it will show all the information about your configurations. Now you have to associate this routing table is there, which is inside your virtual private cloud, but you need to associate that this routing table will be working for the subnet which you have created. So you have to associate it with the subnet. You can click on edit subnets and choose this option. The next thing required is the routing entries. Routing entries, so far you can see that there is only one entry in the routing table, that is their own subnet information. So whenever any packets come with this address, it is referring to the local subnet, but there is no information that how any packet can go outside the outside this VPC. So you need to make one entry that will provide the communication with your internet. So I need to add one route. Now this is something which is actually required some basic networking knowledge, then only it will be, because I am doing little fast because of a short of time. I'm assuming that you have some fundamental knowledge of this networking. is a default route. That means if any packet which is not concerning to the subnet, then forward the packet to the internet gateway. So internet gateway will take care that how to forward this packet. So I have made one path that if any request which is not bearing this address, then it will go to internet gateway, and internet gateway will decide what to do with the packet. So I have connected this with the internet gateway and save route. Now my VPC is fully complete. I have done all the steps. I have created my VPC. I have done with the subnets. I have created the internet gateway. I have done with the routing tables. Now the next thing is I need to create one server inside this subnet. Okay, so we go to the services, and inside this you can go to EC2. Okay, then you need to create an instance. This is basically you are going to launch a server. So it needs actually 7 steps to configure your server. Before this, I need to ask to Madam, do I proceed or I have to stop, because it will take some time. So if you allow me, then I will continue with this. Otherwise, you will stop here. Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello.
You can
Hello.
continue, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because maybe that's why I would like to ask, is it okay if I continue with this? It will take
Yes,
some
sir.
time.
Yes, sir. Continue.
Okay.
Sir, you can continue, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so fine. Thank you very much for this. Actually, I just want to have a feel that how the things will work in this, so that those who are looking to start with the cloud, they can just have an idea, and they will find, oh, this is very easy. So they will start working on it. Many students maybe, just looking into this video. So the very first thing is you need to configure a server. When I say configuring your server, you need to decide what kind of OS you are going to use. You are going to use Windows machine, Linux machine, what kind of storage you are going to use, how much RAM you are going to use. Okay, all this thing you have to configure here. So here you can go to the marketplace. Marketplace means based on your requirement, based on your application, there are ready-made servers are actually available. You can just select any of the servers, look for the price they are charging that suits to your application, or you can go for the quick start. I am going for the quick start. I am only using the free tier machines. I am not giving details of all the things because of the short of time, so I am just giving you basic idea. So here you can select any of the free tier. These are all the free tiers. So AWS is providing you some AMI. These are the images. This is a kind of complete package which will allow you to it's a complete configuration that take care of our operating system, application servers to launch your instance. So I'm going to select this one, which is a free window server, and you have finished with the first step. Second is instance type. We have different instance type are there, means what kind of application you are running. You are looking for the memory optimization or process optimization, or you are looking for any gaming, how much memory you want. So this is, you can see here, this is for the gaming applications and graphical process unit. These are memory optimized. Here you can see all the different configurations are available, what kind of instance you want, how much memory you want to use. I am going to use this free tier because you want to use all the things in giving in the free options. I'm not going to pay for this anything. Number of instances, how many instances you want to create. I want to create 1 instance. Then we have purchasing options are there. We just discussed that you can go for on demand, you can go for reserved instances, you can go for spot instances. So on demand is something whenever there is a traffic, it will be available to you. Reserved instances means you are reserving it for some duration and you are paying for that. Spot instances means you don't want the continuity, I mean continuous availability of these services, but whenever your budget matches with their charges, they will provide you. So you can just provide your budget, and whenever their pricing matches to your budget, it will be available to you. By default, whenever you create any instance, it goes to the default VPC, which is in the North Virginia region. But I want to create the server in my VPC, which I have created. So you can select from here. Then automatically, when you select the virtual private cloud, it will show you all the availability zones. So if I select North Virginia, I will have like 6 options are there. But in my private cloud, I have only one subnet. So automatically you can see this is already here. Now, whenever you go for the default options, you will be assigned a public IP. Public IP is required when you want your subnet to visible to the outside world. But when you go for your own virtual cloud, this option by default is disabled. So you can make it enable, that you want a public IP so that it can be visible to the outside world. You can make communication. Then we have placement groups are there. You can make keep your resources based on their kind of communications. You are dividing the entire resources into layers. I'm just keeping all this. I'm just skipping all this part. Okay, I'm keeping the default. You can do more settings here that you want. If you're working in a project and you don't want that any of your team members can delete any resources, then you can just set here protect against accidental termination. You can check all the options. So I'm going for the next storage. I'm keeping this default. I'll move to the next tags. Tags basically we use to manage our resources, in a better way. This is just a logical representation. There is no technical issue with this text. You are providing some, for example, there's a project you are working on, different teams are there. So you can assign resources. You can say name, and the team is the HR team, or means development teams, or testing teams. So you can just make this kind of logical information with the tags. Then security group is there, which actually is a kind of security. It's a firewall that will monitor what kind of traffic can be allowed to access your resources. So it will basically take care of inbound and outbound kind of traffic. So let's say I am going to create one security group. Let's say VPC demo HG. This is my security group for this kind of lab we are doing. And here, what kind of port are you aligned, that which port will be working on your server, and then what kind of IPs will be allowed to access this port. So I can say, okay, any port can be allowed to allow. You can also add other kind of port, HTTP, SNP, whatever, depending on your requirement. So I am just keeping the one RDP. And review and launch, it will ask you to just go through what you have configured. It will give you all the information, and then launch. So I hope I did everything correct. Let us see. Then if you want to access your server remotely, you need to have one key pair. This key pair is always required when you want to access it. So this is only provided one time to you. So you can create your new key pair, or if you have already created, you can use the key pair same again and again. So let us create a new key pair. Let's say demo key is the name of this. So basically it provides you the .pem file. You can download the key pair. And one thing to keep in mind, this is the only one time this key is provided to you. So it's written here. You will not be able to download the file again if it is after it is created. So you have to keep this in a very safe place, in a secure place, so that it can be referred later. Just a minute. Let me check that where is that key pair which I have saved. If I click on launch, it will ask the key pair. So I will create a new key pair. I will say demo key pair and download the demo key pair. It's working slowly. Let us click again. Unless we get this download key pair, we cannot proceed. So I have to wait. Something is actually, so many applications are actually running here on my machine. And I think NAT is also not that much good. Wait for some time. Let us get it processed. Okay, launch it again. My mouse is not under control. Let me try with the existing key pair. I have already one key pair on my desktop. This is, let's just try with this key pair. But again, so we need to wait till that option works for you. And this is required. Otherwise, we are not able to connect to our server remotely. I will go previous and go to previous again. Okay, let me again proceed. So add tags, we will not going to add tags. Security groups, we will keep the same security group. Then review and launch. And then launch. Okay, let us try again. New key pair, demo key. Hello. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Hello. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay. So actually, there is a kind of problem. It is not allowing you to proceed with this step. Normally, when we stuck in this, we need to start with this again. Maybe there is some problem with this console. We are doing all the steps properly, but the problem with the console. So let me do it. Just just cancel it this, and I'll do it just quickly again. This. Because we have just reached to the end. It will take like required just 5 more minutes. So I think very sorry. This actually is not working. I need to just restart this particular screen. If you are okay, I can restart. We got stuck here. Actually, there is no. This is not an error. This is just they are saying that I am keeping giving permission to all that can communicate. This is just an error. This is not an error that will stop me to proceed. This is just a message that you cannot, means it's a kind of prior information that you are keeping accessibility to outside world. This is not suggestible. You can restrict the accessibility. I say no, everyone can access it. This is just a message.
Hello. Am I audible? Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful session. And we have learned a lot from you, sir. Now, sir, there are few questions from our participants. So I want to take one by one, sir. So the first question is, sir, how many virtual machines can a server run simultaneously? This is the question, sir.
How many virtual machines the server can run?
Yes, sir, simultaneously.
Yeah, so AWS says that you can run as many servers inside your cloud. There is no restriction. They are, putting to the customer. So you are free. You can deploy as many as you can.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And next question is, sir, what virtualization tools are most commonly used in cloud computing? What are the various tools?
We are using hypervisor is basically used for the virtualization. It's a then in the hypervisor we have different configurations are available depending on which kind of virtualization is required. That will be available for the customers.
The next question is, what is the difference between Amazon EC2 and Amazon S3?
Amazon EC2 is basically a virtual server. It's a server, and S3 is a storage. So storage is basically used to store your data. So it's an object storage where you can store the files of any format. You can store your video files, your image files, your whatever kind of file you want to store, you can store in that S3.
Another question is, how many buckets can you create in AWS by default?
By default, there is only one bucket is always there. So normally when you start working on any resources, you can find one default is already there. Then you can create up to your kind of requirement. It all depends how much storage you want to use. Depending on the storage, the plan you are using, you can create.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I express my sincere thanks to Dr. Ashish Seth, who, despite his busy schedule, accepted invitation and graced the occasion. His research and practical knowledge shared on cloud computing essentials was indeed very useful. And sir, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge of cloud characteristics, AWS, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and also about the AWS technologies. Like you have told us about S3, you have told us about the various, how we are hiring the services from AWS. Thank you, sir. This is of great importance for our faculties and students who are working and intend to work in this area, sir. Sir, I wish to thank, I thank you so much, sir, for being with us. I wish to thank our principal, sir, Dr. G.M. Patil, and to continuously supporting and motivating our whole team of JSS in this difficult time faced due to COVID-19 pandemic. And I express my sincere gratitude towards Dr. Seema Shukla, Associate Professor, Department of IT and General Co-Chair of ICCSEMS 2020, Dr. Vikram Wali, Professor and Head CSE Department and Technical Chair ICCSEMS 2020 of this conference, and Dr. Arun Kumar Ji, HOD EC and Tutorial Chair of this conference, and a whole team of organizers associated, whose constant support and guidance have been a driving force behind the meticulous planning and execution of this event. Before I conclude, I wish to thank all the faculty and student participants for their contribution in successful conduct of this event. Thank you, sir, for coming, and thank you for sharing your knowledge, Ashish sir, with us. Thank you, sir.
Also, I want to add one more thing here. Actually, this working on the AWS is actually very simple, and there are a lot of support is provided by the AWS. So if you once log in to your account, you can find that a lot of support is there. You can go for the training videos, and they will help you to get certification in AWS. And the students who are actually means making their career, trying to make their career in AWS, they can start with the cloud practitioner exam, and they can go for the next kind of label. And all the support, all the documentation, training is actually there. Online support is available with the AWS itself. Even if the students or anyone want to have interact on this cloud computing issues, or they have any questions, queries in the later, I have one forum which I have created for the interaction, that is called cexpertvision.com. So through that also they can interact me, raise their queries, and discuss more about on this cloud computing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I seek the permission of our principal, sir, to
Hello.
end this.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Sir, now I
Hello.
am.
Monica madam. Gayatri madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, Dr. Ashish sir. Sir, on
Yes.
behalf of JSS Management, once again, I thank you for accepting our invitation and giving your wonderful session
Yes, sir.
in your busy schedule. Thank you once again, sir.
Yeah.
And principal sir, over to you, sir. Principal sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Arun Kumar.
Yes, sir.
I have attended the presentation of Dr. Ashish Shetji, rich in information, practical experience, and the scintillating information that he has shared during his presentation is of great value for all of us. The students, the researchers, and the industry personnel and the scientific community is greatly benefited by his informative lecture. I am really very proud that despite his busy schedule, on the request made by our now institution through Arun Kumar ji. He has been very kind enough to spare the valuable time and give the lecture that is most sought by everybody. Now we have shifted from the now the on-campus, in-person on-campus classes to online instruction only, and now it is the one of the very safe and the only source through which we can transact the research data, the academic data. We can share the information. The cloud computing plays a very, very important role. Rather, it is decisive role playing today. The world has become digital, and we are connected to the entire world, through the digital medium. So under such with the situation when the globe is now going online, knowing about the feature, the facilities, and the various options available in the cloud computing is a need of the hour. On such important topic, as per the request made by our head of the department and the coordinator of the pre-conference tutorial, Dr. Arun Kumar ji, Dr. Ashish Sheth has given his valuable time and given a wonderful presentation. I, on my own behalf, on behalf of the management, faculty, staff, and students of our institution, thank him wholeheartedly, and we look forward that once we are free from the COVID, once the COVID disappears from the face of the earth, I look forward that we invite Dr. Ashish Sheth to our campus, have discussion with him, and explore the possibilities of doing the joint research, collaborative research, research that is beneficial for both of us, our institution as well as Ashish Sheth to his institution. We'll work on the joint problems. Collaborative projects will take up and work in a win-win fashion. Looking forward to inviting him to our campus, and also looking forward for the opportunity to visiting his institution. I once again thank Dr. Ashish Sheth for sparing his valuable time and sharing the rich knowledge to the the great the scientific and the research community from all over the world on this day. I, on my own behalf, on behalf of our management, faculty, staff, and students, thank him wholeheartedly for giving his valuable time. Thank you very much. Namaskar ji. Namaskar sir. Namaskar ji.
Namaskar sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, principal sir, and thank you all other students and faculties for participating in this conference, lecture. And I seek permission of principal sir to end this meeting.
Yeah, Ashish Sheth ji, I look forward to meet you again, sir. We'll keep in touch with you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
sure, sir. Thank you.
My college, for the session with the students and the researchers here, and let us look for the opportunities of working on the research in the topics in South Korea and in India. We will have some collaborative work between your institution and my institution. Let us build some wonderful relations to benefit my students and our researchers and our faculty here. And definitely, when we have a collaboration with your institute, we are going to get the huge benefit. But in one way or the other, we will also try to give good services to the institute, and let us work on a win-win fashion, sir. I look forward for meeting you in person in my institution, and we definitely look forward to meet your institution as a delegation from my college, and we will definitely interact with you in your institution, sir. I look forward to see you again, sir. I'll keep in touch with you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I would be happy to associate with JSS for any research collaboration. And hopefully when I'll come to India, I'll visit the campus. Thank you very much for the invitation.
So kind of you, sir. So very kind of you, sir. Namaskar ji.
Namaskar.
Thank you very much. Thanks. So kind of you, sir. Namaskar ji. Gayatri Sakhya ji.
Yes, sir.
I please know from Arun Kumar if we are done with the all questions and anything he wants to discuss. Please know from Arun Kumar.
Yes, sir.
From my side, and actually he has assured us that he will visit our campus when he comes to India. I look forward to build the relations with him and